This is the Python course, and this is the first introduction. And you can see this material here. There is some documentation. This page here, I'm sure you got a link to it in the big, long information email I sent out Friday. At some point in that, there was a link to this page. And it's this link up here. So, and you can find some documentation on Python at each of these centers at UPPMAX and HPC2N, and you can see them at these links here, and you can go and look at them later. It's mainly about how you install your own modules and things, and we are going to cover that partially. So, but there's extra there. So the idea with this course is to give a brief but comprehensive introduction to using Python in an HPC environment. We will look at how to load modules in Python, how to find also the modules at the centers, and how to find site installed Python packages, as I said, and how to install packages yourself also. And we will also look at how to use virtual environment, partially Conda, partially pip, because Conda is much used many places and also at UPPMAX. You can use it at HPC2N, but it is strongly not recommended because it does not play nice with our environment. But so we will recommend pip there. And we will show you how to write batch scripts for running Python, and you will get to try out and run some yourself. And we will look at how to use Python in parallel and how to use Python on GPUs and some machine learning. And in this course, there will be lectures and there will be hands-on sessions where you get to try these things you just learned. So as you know, this course is done in cooperation with UPPMAX, and they have the compute clusters Rackham, Snowy, and Bianca. And you will, when you log in there, you will log into Rackham. And there, from Rackham, you can make submit scripts that goes to Snowy, so you can submit jobs to Snowy also, and that is used for the GPU part. We are not going to look hugely on Bianca. And then there's HPC2N, and we have Kepnikaiser. Kepnikaiser is no longer a nice system, so it will only be used for local users. And that means that those of you who are already HPC2N users can use the small project at Kepnikaiser. We will mainly focus on UPPMAX's systems because Rackham is still a nice system, but Kepnikaiser will also be included for the local users there. And there are very little difference between UPPMAX and HPC2N. It's mainly what the names of modules are and such, how we have named them, how we have installed them in which hierarchies, and we will talk about that. But mostly you will easily be able to find your way on one system if you have tried the other one. So some practicals. In Zoom here, you should have gotten an email with the links. You should have a main room for lectures, or you would not be here listening. And we will get breakout rooms, and those we will create as needed. We will have a silent room for those who just want to work on their own. Those who want to work while listening to whatever other people ask about will work in the main room. And then we will also create some extra rooms where people who want individual help can go, and we can help them there if they want to show their screens in private and things like this. So as you have probably noticed, I am recording the lectures, and I will also be recording demos, but I will not record the exercises. That is, the recording may or may not run during the exercises, but that's because I don't want to forget starting it again. But I will cut away any part that is the exercises afterwards. So you have no reason to worry to be recorded there. You can ask freely there, but otherwise use the Q&A page. that you should also have gotten a link to in your information email. And we ask you use your real name here in Zoom and that you mute your microphone when you are not speaking. And please use your raise hand functionality if you want to ask a question. And don't write too much into the Zoom chat because it quickly scrolls away and we are not going to see all questions there and things like this. So ask them on this Q&A page instead. And in general, just behave nicely to your fellow participants. So, as I said, there's this Q&A page, and I already have it opened here. I have such a bar at the top here that's Zoom for Zoom interaction, and that is making it difficult for me to click. But this is the Q&A document that you have the link to. And here you can see there are first some information for how to log into Rackham, how to log into Kebnekaise, the name of the course project, and where the storage area is, and such things. And then there's a number of placeholders here, and this is where you write your question. And just pick one place and ask the question, or write the question you want to ask here, and then we will, at some point, answer this here in this document. So let's go back to this. So create a new line for new questions and watch out because if other people are writing at the same time, it may jump a little bit, but shouldn't be too badly. And I forgot to update this thing, but anyway, you can download the exercises from the GitHub repo. And that should be this one, yes. Here, as you can see, you can download all of it here if you click code, and then you must pick the HTTPS one because in order to use SSH one, you must have uploaded your public key and have access to this area, which you don't. So use the HTTPS link. So just copy this. You can do it by clicking here. And then write git clone and then this. Then you get everything, all the material. And also all the exercises. The exercises are here. It's called examples.tar.gz if you want it as a tarball, but otherwise the exercises are under the exercises directory here under examples. Programs is the Python programs. And then there are batch submit files for HPC2N and for UPPMAX. So you can find it here. And I will also put these exercises in a tarball. I just forgot to update these links here, but they will be in a directory called Python HPC, Python HPC2N on this one, and Python UPPMAX under this one. I will update this in a moment. So hopefully you will find out the best practices for using Python at the HPC centers. You will learn how to use and install packages and learn something about the HPC capabilities of Python. The course is not for improving your Python coding skills or for specifics of other clusters, though I will say that most of the HPC clusters in Sweden are very similar. And if you know how to use one of them, then it's just figuring out their module system to use that one instead. So there will be a few small differences in how they have named the GPUs and things like this. So, but it should be fairly easy. So this is running on the command line. So it's good that you can use the Linux command line, and there are some short introductions here at Uppsala. And there's a Linux cheat sheet that you can use for just finding some quick answers. And then there is a link to UPPMAX software library, which you can also see the content of if you do module spider, but we will look at that later. And then there is the material from an intro course for UPPMAX and one at HPC2N. And you can look at those also for some more information about the clusters and about the Linux command line. So now here, when I finish talking here, or while I'm talking, you should try log in to the cluster that you're going to use, just to see that you can log in and that there are no issues that we need to help you with to begin with here. So on UPPMAX, you will log into Rackham. You do it with your username at rackham.uppmax.uu.se. And you can also use it through ThinLink, and that is what we would recommend if you don't already have a preferred SSH client. So then it's much easier to use ThinLink. And you should, when you have logged in, create a working directory where you can code along. And I suggest you create it under the course project storage directory. So here's an example here. The project storage is located in this space here, /proj/nice 2023 -22 -500. And then let's assume your username is Mr. Spock. So then you create the username, the directory Mr. Spock. And if you want to, you can then put stuff in another subdirectory if you want to put other things there. But the main important thing is create a directory, something like this, where this could be your username, or it could just be some other unique qualifier that you can use to easily recognize that it's your stuff that's there. Because this here is shared, so you need a subdirectory for yourself. And at HPC2N, it is much the same. This is how you log into Kepner-Kaiser. And if you are using ThinLink, you can log in with this here. Again, create a working directory. And here, this project storage area is slightly different, not just because there is a different project ID, but also because at HPC2N, it's located on the /proj/no-backup/ HPC2N 2023 -089. So create a subdirectory under that, named your username or something else. And this is my username. So. Okay. If you are downloading or cloning from the course GitHub repo and into the above directory, or just copying it or whatever, then it will unpack and create some subdirectories. And that means that this Python programs, they will end up located in this path, and the batch submit files in this path. That is, as I showed you on the GitHub page. So this is where your stuff is. And then the cloning part or the unpacking of the tarball will create a subdirectory hpc-python. And under that, there will be some stuff, and the exercises will be under exercises, examples, programs. And the batch submit files under exercises, examples, UPPMAX. On HPC2N, much the same, just that the subdirectory is HPC2N. So hopefully that will not cause confusion. So should you use ThinLink or should you use the terminal? Well, it's up to you. If you have some graphics you need to do, then it's probably easier with ThinLink. But if you have many windows open and you don't have more than one screen, then maybe it's easier to run in the terminal, just because then you also have space for everything else. So let's look at an example here. Say you only have one screen, you could put the Q&A document here. You will have your Zoom view. You will have maybe a web browser or whatever with the course material, and then your own terminal. So I mean, put it as it fits well for you. And then we have a preliminary schedule that you can look at here. And we are right now here under syllabus and introduction. And after that, we will go to the actual introduction, and then we will start loading modules and running Python and so on. So you can look at this. There will be coffee breaks, leg stretches, and a lunch from 12 to 13, which may be important to know here. And then there is a list of the lessons. And we also have something we call extra reading, which is there is a little bit extra material about some of the subjects, and you can look at that yourself later. And most of the exercises are gathered here under exercises. So after the sort of intro, more intro. So which I just said, these things here, what will we learn from this course? And then we will look more at Python here. What is Python? And you probably already know what Python is, so I'm not going to say much about that. We're not going to talk about how to program Python, but we will look a little bit about how to use various modules in it and how you will use it in HPC. And then there are some gathered links here. There is some Python documentation, and this Python forum here also can have good stuff. And there's an introduction to packages, which can be very useful to read. This is actually a very good link, so I will recommend that. And then Code Refinery is often offering training material and also courses, so it's also worth going there to see what they have. And then there's a YouTube video with some information also here. And here are, again, a recommendation to go to Code Refinery and see what courses they have and what they have done with Python before. And we also, here is an introduction course to Python from UPPMAX that was given last year. And there will be some good information there. And then, of course, there's this course. So, as I said, this course is run as a collaboration between UPPMAX and HPC2N. HPC2N is located in Umeå, which is in the north of Sweden, and then there's UPPMAX, which is located in Uppsala, which is not so far north of Stockholm. Many things are the same. There's a login node that you go to, which would be Rackham or Kebnekaise. And then the calculation or compute nodes, which are where the jobs are running. And you cannot log in directly to them, but you can access them with jobs and with their interactive sessions. We will look at that. And both places have the module system to put all the software in so you can access it. And you load it with module load. That means you can have different versions of each type of software, which is very useful. And we both use Slurm for batch jobs and scheduling system. And the pip install is the same in both places. And the small differences is that the commands to load Python and Python packages can vary because modules are named differently, and there are some slightly different flags to Slurm. And also slightly bigger differences is that UPPMAX has 3 clusters. Rackham for general purpose computing and CPUs, Snowy for local projects and GPUs, and Bianca, which has sensitive data and GPUs. HPC2N has Kebnekaise, which is a heterogeneous system, which has both CPU nodes and GPU nodes and different types of CPU nodes and GPU nodes as well. I will look more at that later. And Conda is only recommended at UPPMAX because it doesn't always play well with our module system, but it is possible to use at HPC2N. So general sessions with this, where we will look at the small difference between UPPMAX and Kebnekaise in HPC2N in tabs. Otherwise, everything is the same. There will be no separate sessions. The main focus will be on UPPMAX, the nice resource, but we will cover any Kebnekaise specifics. And then there is a link to an information page for the module system at the UPPMAX and at HPC2N. And one thing I want to say more is that to distinguish Python modules that work as libraries from the modules in the module system, we will call the Python modules for packages always. So that makes it easier. So I think we should get started with the first real session here. Okay, I will stop sharing.